So welcome back to my series called Taboo, where we're talking about the conditions that are not talked about enough in order to raise awareness and educate everyone. And today I am joined by the lovely Muna, and we're going to be talking about anxiety. So Muna, can you introduce yourself?
Hi guys, my name is Muna, as Jessica said. 20-something-year-old in London. I'm starting uni in like a few weeks, and I was actually on a journey to kind of better and kind of coming to terms with my anxiety. And Jessica reached out and was like, "Hey, would it be possible to be a part of this process?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool, whatever, in whatever way I can help in like alleviating the stigma."
True, you're so open about it on your stories, and it's just really inspiring. And yeah, the stigma needs to be broken, so we're going to try and do that a little bit today. So what I'm going to start off
Okay.
by doing is saying the scientific definition of anxiety, and then afterwards I'll ask you for a little bit more of a personal definition. Okay, so in medicine,
Mm-hmm.
pathological anxiety can refer to a range of disorders. So it can include phobia, social anxiety disorder, post-traumatic stress, and even OCD. But most of the time when people say anxiety, they are referring to generalized anxiety disorder. And this is just a
Mm-hmm.
constant state of worry, and it can be over different things, different everyday things. It can include symptoms such as restlessness, trouble concentrating, sleeping, trouble with concentration, um, heart palpitations, dry mouth, sweating, and more. And the symptoms have to be severe enough that they impact daily life, and they have to be present for more than 6 months. The cause of anxiety is unknown, but it is quite prevalent, affecting 5% of the UK population. So that was the medical definition. How would you define it, Muna?
For me, I'm someone that kind of likes to characterize certain things. For me, anxiety is like this little, I call it a monkey in my head that is just constantly paranoid, constantly on edge, constantly worrying and thinking of worst case scenario. And in that is like my thoughts and sometimes my like physical, like somatic feelings as well tend to be tend to go into overdrive. Oh my god, if I don't do this, this is gonna happen. If I don't do tissue in my bag, I'm gonna go on a road, I'm gonna have a nosebleed. Just really random. So it could be very random. It could be logical, it could be something you've experienced before. But for me, it's just this constant state of worrying and overthinking.
When do you think that this like monkey appeared in your life?
If I'm going to be honest, it's been around for as long as I can remember. I'm talking like late primary school, early secondary school. But it was just something I just thought that, oh, it's just part of my personality whereby I'm just a very cautious person. So
Mm.
it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I'm always like worried. But I think as I progressed in my educational career, it started to kind of really manifest in a different way. It kind of manifested into what we would now call anxiety. So the symptoms of anxiety, so the restlessness, the sleep disturbance, the body, the tension, like muscle tension, and catastrophizing and so on. I went to do my undergrad in biomed. Yeah, I went in that Jessica as well, even though I was the year above. And then I took a year out after that because education was just uni was just intense. I took a year out, worked for a bit, chilled, and then I went and did my master's, and I finished that last year. So now I'm what 23, yeah, and then now I'm starting medical school in September. So yes, I'm a bookworm. I'm collecting all the degrees. I want all the letters after my name, before and after my name. So yeah, so now 24. I was saying the whole anxiety started around uni time. Yeah, my third year of my undergrad, and to this point now. So yeah.
And do you think that anxiety was part of the reason why you were finding uni so stressful that you had to take a break from it?
100%, a million percent. I remember in final year there would be days where I would wake up and I just couldn't go to uni. Like I was like, I can't get out of bed. I can't. Nah, that 9 a.m. it's not seeing me. And it was like that for a while, for about 3 months. I didn't really say anything. I didn't really tell anyone. I just kind of trudged along. Um, and then I would say, I think as well, like because I didn't get into medical school as well, because I had applied again and I didn't get in. I felt like quite lost. And then that kind of feeling of, what do I do next? What's going to happen now? I was just like, I need a break.
And I mean, it's great that you took a break in the end, but that's the thing as well, is that sometimes we suffer with feelings or this certain illnesses, but we just trudge along. We just
Exactly.
keep going, and sometimes that's to our detriment. And one viewer actually asked, how do you know the difference between normal everyday problems versus when you have anxiety?
Whenever the thing that I was stressing about, whenever it ended or finished, I would be fine. Okay, summer's here, it's time for a break, and you're kind of like back to normal. When this thought of I'm going to fail is louder or more prominent than you being like, okay, I'm gonna fail, but let me do the work in order so that I don't fail. When that happens, that's when you're like, okay, there might be a bit of an issue here.
Okay, and yeah, that's actually really profound what you just said. So what you talked about in terms of productivity, there's I believe it's called a Dodson productivity curve, where of course anxiety for everyday situations, anxiety helps us because it can motivate us to do well, to prepare for things. So it's like positive, but it gets to a point where you get too much anxiety where your productivity now starts dipping. And as you said, yeah, you're ready to go to lectures, but then you just don't because you're thinking about all these other things. Okay.
Yeah.
So then now, when did you first seek medical help?
6 weeks ago. 6 weeks ago. Yeah. I'm quite an anxious person anyway. I have it, it's there. Then all of a sudden, this pandemic comes out of nowhere. You'll see very, very negative things happening on social media. So not only are you seeing negative things on social media, you yourself have got the virus, and your parents have, well, later on, you've realized that your parents have had the virus. So that's now playing on your mind. And then you're going to work and you're seeing patients who are dying of COVID, and you're thinking, you can't handle the emotional toll that is taken on you. All of a sudden, the world kind of just erupts, and all this negativity, Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmad, sorry, I'm going to say the name wrong. What's his name again? Ahmad Aubrey, sorry. And then you have that. And then you're having conversations about that. So then, okay, you're now fearing for your life. You realize that your Blackness is now
a problem
not
again.
Tainted, but you realize it's a problem again. You realize the truth about how society is treating you, fine. And now I'm trying to save for uni. I'm applying for, I got into undergraduate medicine, so I have to fund it. I couldn't deal with everything. And I remember I had a conversation with a friend, and she's actually a psychologist. And she was like, how do you decompress? I said, I don't. So what do you mean? I was like, I'm not gonna lie, just go home and sleep. She's like, why? I was like, because it's sometimes the world is just too loud right now, so I just need to sleep. And she said something to me that was quite poignant, where she was like, you're about to start medical school. Medical school is tough. You are gonna need to have coping mechanisms in order for you to deal with this anxiety, because if not, it might become a problem that you might not be able to handle in such a space. You don't know what the future may hold. So now that you have the opportunity and the time and the privilege almost to seek help, do so. I was like, okay, fine. Found a online therapy session service, and I've been using that since. And honestly, it's like a 180. It's so different now because I was able to find tools, and we were able to kind of dissect things a lot better in order for me to understand the issue and find ways to cope.
And we'll talk more about your recovery and how you're finding therapy and some of the coping mechanisms that you're putting into place. But when did it go from, oh, I'm just a cautious person, to I might have a clinical anxiety?
From that third year till now, it's always been there, but I just never acknowledged it. I said, nah, it can't be me. Generalized anxiety disorder, nah. Because even though I don't have it, I was very close to it. I was knocking on the door of it. And I was like, nah, that's not me, man. Not me. Nah, I'm this. I'm a happy person. I'm the life of the party. I make jokes all the time. This can't be me. This is not my story. And then someone's telling you that, sis, get help now, because you need to work on it now that you can, before it becomes something that it doesn't need to be, if that makes sense.
And so why do you think there's a stigma around anxiety or mental health issues in general?
I think for me, and I'll put my hand up to say this, it was a cultural aspect to it. Black people don't have mental health. What? We're strong, we're resilient. You know what we've been through? We've been through so much. How dare you come and now say you have anxiety? Your parents traveled from yonder, countries far away, left their family, uprooted, came to the UK. Look, we had you working. They're fine, they're all right. And you realize that, nah, man, that ain't it. That is not it at all. And it can happen to anyone and everyone.
Yeah, I know that I just resonate with what you're saying. I know that there's going to be so many Africans and Caribbean, Black people in general, who resonate with what you're saying. I did a video on BAME women and mental health, and the overlying thing that came up again and again with people who are having suicidal thoughts or anxiety or anything, was that they couldn't talk to their family about it because they didn't want to be ungrateful.
Yes, that's it. That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
It's so difficult. So how do you think that we can get rid of that? So do you think that stigma we put on ourselves? Do you think our parents put it on? Is it both child and parents? How can we get rid of that?
I definitely think it's a mixture of both. And that the life that they live is very different to the life we live. There's no comparison. In order for us to change it, you can still have a conversation with your parents, but it's a case of us creating those spaces for ourselves and normalizing the topic of mental health. So talk to your friends about it, because you don't realize how many conversations I've had, and they're, oh, I need to go to my therapy session. And that's normal now. So our parents, that was never normal. And I think it's something that you have to raise awareness of it and be more understanding that mental health, everybody has it. It's a case of, do you have good mental health? Do you have bad mental health? Do you have average mental health? And if that's the case, okay, how can we go about, furthering our research, furthering our understanding of what good mental health looks like? Okay, do we need to, is it a case of trauma from the past? Do we need to heal from that? Is it something that, okay, there are certain triggers that we have and we don't really realize it? I think it's a lot of self-reflection, a lot of conversation. We need to continually have this conversation.
We have friend A and friend B. And friend A is struggling with anxiety and comes to friend B saying, I'm struggling. What advice would you give to friend B? What should friend B say or do?
I think the first thing to do is to listen. Listen says to you, like, I'm not gonna lie, I've been feeling really low for the last 3 to 4 months. And you'd be like, oh, okay, I hear that, but what started it? Be there for them. A lot of the time, we can't actually do anything. Just be there. Sometimes say, you know what, I don't know the answers. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't know what to do. And then you'd be like, okay, why not try to get some help? And even if you tell the person, why don't you try to get some help? Help them get help.
Okay. And yes, so you have hinted to therapy and how it's really helped you. So yes, tell us a little bit more about the road to recovery. Where do you think you are in that path? And what you've put in place to improve your anxiety. Sorry, that's a lot of
No, that's fine. That's cool. What I remember the first session that we had, I was quite nervous actually. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to talk about with her. Like, is she gonna go deep into the trauma, like what's gonna happen? And she was just very much like, oh, like, tell me about yourself. Like, what do you like? And then you realize, like, oh, okay, I like this. I like reading. I like drama. I like people. I'm doing this, and and you kind of realize that, oh, like I'm more than just my anxiety.
Wow.
I think the first thing that she mentioned was mindful meditation, and mantras. And I'm not gonna lie, like I was just like, I've heard of it, but do they work? Especially mantras, like, do they work? Like, she went to the science with it a little bit. And she was saying like how even with 10 minutes you are able to calm yourself down a lot more if you are just kind of focusing on present moment. So she suggested the Calm app. So in the Calm app, it's kind of like you kind of focus on your body sensations. So you focus on you go from your head to your toes. So you do like a body scan. So in that, it's like you're not thinking about everything else and you're focusing on the present moment. I would finish and I would just feel so much calmer. Like my mind wasn't racing as much. I didn't feel as drained throughout the day. And then she said, okay, let's now start including mantras in there. I think mantras that allude to the life that you want to live.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, I never heard of it that way. You hear affirmations and you stand in the mirror and tell yourself that you're beautiful. And I was like, what? So you go on YouTube and they're like, I used to stand in the mirror every morning. I'll be like, you are so beautiful. And it was just like, no, this doesn't work like this. But then when she said that it's specific to the life you want to live, so that kind of made me think, okay, what kind of life do I want to live? Usually when I'm going to work, I'll get on the bus, I'll do my meditation, and then as I finish the meditation, I will say my mantras, all in my head, obviously, and I'll kind of go through the day. But then, if, for instance, like something I feel that anxiety coming up again, I'll kind of do the meditation again, but this time I would be like, okay, what's in the room? Okay, I see a chair, I see a bed, I see a sink, I see this, I see this, I see this. And in that, it's weird, like just kind of focusing on what's happening right now, like what's in your present moment. That was so helpful for me. I think another tool that we used was narrative therapy.
Okay.
And I was like, I've heard of all the therapies, and I was like, I've never heard of this one. So what this tends to do is kind of like, it's like, what's your dominant story? And your dominant story tends to be what your childhood story was. But a lot of the issues that we have kind of stem from our childhood.
Yeah.
So there are certain things, certain issues, certain traumas that we experience as children that we haven't necessarily healed from, and then that now manifests in different ways. So she said to me, tell me, like, write down your own story. And I did that, and then
that's
difficult,
I think is it not?
I think for me, because I have such a high, I've always been thinking, where did this anxiety come from? Like,
Okay.
where? Like, I don't understand why I have it. So where did it come from? So because of that, I've been doing a lot of thinking. Because of that, I was like, okay, when do I remember feeling that I need to be validated? When do I remember feeling that I am a burden or whatever? Like, when did that happen? So for me, I would now backtrack. I'm very reflective. I'm always thinking about like what's happening in my life. And so because of that, I was able to kind of pinpoint that 2 moments in my life that kind of led to that kind of tumbleweeded into the issues that I'm experiencing today. So then when we kind of came back, she was like, okay, so you have your dominant story. Then, okay, what's the alternative story? What if, for instance, let's say that you were somebody that was bullied in school by people. And because you were bullied in school, you now felt that you are a problem. What if those kids were just being mean? What if they're just being horrible and everybody was jumping on the bandwagon? What if that's not a reflection of you? That's just them being mean. So then it's weird, like it kind of gives you this freedom. You're like, oh, so everything I was telling myself was a lie. And you realize that, well, for not 24 years, but for the sake of conversation, 24 years, I've been holding on to this lie. And you're like, okay, wow, that's very free. That's very freeing. And it's weird. It's just like when you kind of come to that realization, how quickly you let go of it. Your body's just like, oh, done, bye. And I was like, I've never felt such freedom before. And then that is that you're able to kind of experience it and then let it go. One thing she was like, never feel ashamed of your feelings. Never feel ashamed that you're having an anxious thought. Never feel ashamed that you feel depressed. Never feel ashamed. Acknowledge it. It's here. Like it's here. But then it's a case of, one, who told you that? Like whatever the thought is, who told you that? You realize it's actually you that told yourself that. Okay, fine. And then that one was very, very profound for me. Oh, it's been a 180, man. I feel so different now. Weird.
Wow,
Crazy.
Sounds like that's honestly life-changing stuff.
I'm telling you.
My mind is blown, and I'm just so happy that you have invested in yourself. I mean, obviously it's a privileged position to be able to do that, but even IAPS through NHS is a long waiting list. But from what you've said, if there is anybody at home watching this, like, therapy does help. Yes. And it gives you a toolbox in order to combat life, because and it's great, and that's why also everybody can and should go to therapy, because it's not until you get to a breaking point. It's better to be prepared and not need, rather than need and not have.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah.
Amazing. So sometimes for anxiety, there's CP. The treatment options are cognitive behavioral therapy, the therapies that you've talked about, yoga, other relaxation techniques. Some people take medication as well. Well, yeah, a medication that is available for anxiety as well is propranolol, which just helps your heart to stop racing, but it just affects your heart. It doesn't affect the anxiety that is causing your heart to race. So you always need to tackle the root cause. How are you feeling now compared to is the monkey still there?
No,
Okay.
no, I haven't had like I haven't catastrophized in about 5 weeks. No, actually, I said that like once, just once. But I was able to combat that. I was able to. I be like, okay, let's go for a walk. Let's go for a walk. Come on, let's go. What's the problem? This. Okay, fine. But other than that, I've never felt this calm before. Before I would wake up worried. Wake up with just worry all over my body, worry about everything. Oh, I'm gonna be late to work. Oh my god, I'm gonna forget my coffee. Oh my god, I'm gonna forget my lunch. And now it's just like if I forget my lunch, okay, I forgot it.
But your
There's
deals.
M&S. Yeah, literally, there's an M&S right in the hospital. It's fine. Get one up. It's all right. Today, oof, we're gonna have to spend some money today, but tomorrow we take our lunch.
Yeah.
And it's just a case of just being a lot more compassionate with yourself and that things happen.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. There's actually research that shows part of anxiety is the negativity bias. So you could be looking at a completely neutral situation and your mind is just naturally going to go to the more negative side. So as you said, with therapy and therapizing yourself and everything, you just have to, it's a practice, it's a skill in order to be able to
Yeah.
look at the positive. And it's a
Yeah.
everyday journey to stop from the
Every day.
catastrophizing to the,
Yeah.
okay, but maybe if I forget my lunch today, it's not the end of the world. And
Yeah.
not to ruminate on those thoughts. Okay, so thank you so much for this conversation. I feel like I've been impacted so much, and it's gonna cause me to think about a lot of things. And I know definitely some viewers at home, there are certain nuggets and sentences that you said that I feel like will really set some people free. Do you have any lasting words of advice for anybody who might be feeling who might be earlier on in their anxiety journey?
You're not a problem. What
Okay.
you're going through is not an issue. No, it's an issue, but you yourself are not an issue. You know, sometimes people be like, oh, I feel like I'm going crazy. Yeah, well, is that feeling, but there's nothing wrong with you. This happens. Mental health issues happen. And it's a case of you being like, okay, now that it's early, let's see if we can find coping mechanisms quickly. Because the earlier you're able to find those coping mechanisms, the earlier you're able to nip it in the bud, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with you. Everybody goes through mental health problems. Everybody. Your mom, your even, and the thing is, there's no there's no age limit. There are 90-year-olds that didn't have any mental health issues until they turned 90. That's when the issue started. You could be 15 and you have mental health issues. And I think another thing, sometimes people think that you need to have the extreme for you to say that I have anxiety or I have depression or I have this. No, it's a spectrum. It comes in different ways. Some people have extreme moments of anxiety. Some people just, it's a bit of a niggle. And so, yeah, man, if you can find your way, find techniques early on and find things that work for you and you develop that toolbox for yourself that is specific, let's try that. Whatever it is, positively, please. Positive ones.
Yeah. Positive coping mechanisms, amazing. So your words would be to be reflective and that everybody's feelings and mental health is valid and
absolutely
much better to nip it in the bud and create your
early on.
personal positive toolbox earlier on so that you can carry on with life.
There we go.
Amazing. That was an amazing conversation. Thank you so much. If you tell the
You're
viewers where they
welcome.
can find you, your socials.
So Instagram is underscore. It's actually underscore moons, but someone took moons, so it's actually underscore MXN double S. Yeah. So follow me on there. I'm always on there. posting in IG stories,
Posting fire
I'm
pics.
there.
As she says, she doesn't go out much.
I mean, I'll
Yes.
try, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying, you know, we gotta stunt for the Instagram timeline, you know, we gotta look cute.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Bruno, for your time.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
No problem. See you. Bye.
Take care. Bye. Take care.